Hi, Karina here, your Lucid Living coach. Welcome to our channel. I think this is Deb PEREZ. She is actually a karmic success coach, and she helps women entrepreneurs grow a business that feeds their soul as well as their wallets. Like, that's huge. Like, we're all, light workers and life coaches and astrologers, but really getting paid what our value is and how much time and effort that we put into something. I mean, that's huge. So I'm really happy that I came across your presence. And this is an Aquarius, and I'm a Leo, and she's on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast. So how perfect is that?
Perfect oppositions and polarity points. Hi,
Exactly.
Karina. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I am too. And so, like, this eclipse portal has been very intense, and it really is all about like partnerships and like really focusing on balancing ourselves with other. And with you and me, this is like our first time doing a kind of like a live video podcast together. This is going to be really exciting and really fun. So I'm excited. And yeah, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a little crypto report because that's pretty huge right now. And everyone's a little like, what's going to happen, right? And then we're going to talk a little bit about the solar eclipse that's happening tonight and tomorrow for you. And then we're going to get into a little conversation just about astrology and maybe throw in some tips and tricks for 2022, what to expect. And then you could introduce what you're going to talk about later. I can't hear you. Oh, there you go. I can hear you now.
When we talk about the eclipse, I'll just throw in a new perspective on the eclipse.
Yeah, so she is really into this lunar phase family, which I am all about the moon. Most of my videos are about moon cycles and stuff like that. And then we're going to just wrap it up. And yeah, I'm excited. So yeah, let's get right into it. So if anyone here is into crypto, are you into crypto, Deb?
I'm not. I'm interested in learning more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being an astrologist.
Hearing this.
Yeah, and being an astrologist, like, it's really helpful to be able to predict trends and stuff. And so it's all about collecting data, right? And then seeing the past data and then making predictions on the future data. And so with this year, I noticed that there was crypto was doing very well in May, in the early parts of May. Okay. And then May 14th, this is when Jupiter switched into Pisces. Do you remember that? It retrograded. So it went into Pisces, and then it retrograded back into Aquarius. So that's kind of where we are now. So when Jupiter is at the last degrees of Aquarius, because Aquarius rules like the future, right? And Uranus being in Taurus is like this future of value systems. Our value systems are kind of changing. We're already seeing that. We have old world, like tangible government money, and then we have cryptocurrency money, and we're just trying to find what's going on, right? Because they're split. And so Jupiter in Pisces, crypto had dropped, like in Pisces, when Jupiter was in Pisces. I noticed that. And then the lunar eclipse for this year was May 26th, and the solar eclipse was June 10th. And this was not very good for the crypto market. And I think that's just how it goes. I think normally with eclipses, what is your take on that? Like eclipses in the market system. Have you noticed anything like during eclipses? It just doesn't seem like it's good.
I just feel like the eclipse energy just means change, but I think where that shows up is going to depend on a lot of different things. also
Yeah.
whether it's a south node eclipse or a north node eclipse and where it hits our charts. So what's interesting about our conversation here today is that my focus on astrology is all individualized to the client. I actually don't do a lot of the 30,000 feet wide look. So this is kind of cool. We'll
Oh,
look at it
good.
from both sides. But yeah, mine is all personalized. Where is the eclipse hitting your chart? What's being triggered for you? And
Yes.
then I look to see how the money finances are impacted for the individual.
Yes. Okay, great. And so that's just what I noticed. And then October, when Jupiter was at the last degrees of Aquarius, then there was a spike in the crypto market. And like I predicted that in my past videos, I was like, crypto is going to be looking really good in October and through the end of the year. And I believe from that, the crypto market, okay, so Bitcoin had an all-time high in November 9th. Okay. And it was a really high. And then it dropped. Now the lunar eclipse was on the 19th. Now the solar eclipse is today and to tomorrow. And so far it hasn't moved much either way. So I am curious to see how this is going to play out when Jupiter goes to the last degrees of Aquarius again in the end of December, and then it's going to drop into Pisces on December 23rd, like around Christmas Eve. So I'm predicting that cryptocurrency might shoot up for the last degrees of Aquarius and then drop again, like kind of like what it did in May. But the difference between May and now is the Venus retrograde. Okay. And Venus rules abundance and money and our values, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm a little, well, we're going to be surprised, I think. And I still feel like it's got a good go for the end of the year, like a little last bang before it drops. And so I just wanted to put that little piece out there for people to chew on, because there might still be a window of opportunity for us for an upward motion.
I love how you're looking at crypto.
Yeah, I've been into crypto a lot for 2021. I got into it more in like 2019 and just like playing with it. But it was when I went pretty all in this year. And my astrology education has really helped me, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try to share my screen here. I'm getting messages on my computer through my phone. I hate that.
Mercury's calling because it's conjunct the eclipse. Come on.
Yeah, maybe I can turn this phone off because that's disturbing. Okay, so I'm going to see if I could pull up these charts first. Okay, here it is. Now, if I could share my screen, this is all a learning curve for me. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
And then I could see you and me.
There you go.
In the corner. All right. What's this do? Okay, this works. All right, so this is the new moon solar return chart. As you can see, the sun and the moon are together, which is a conjunction. That's what we call in astrology. And they're sitting together here. The moon, the feminine, and the sun, the masculine, coming together and merging energies. And this is in Sagittarius at 12 degrees. So,
and if I can just chime in.
yeah, absolutely, please.
Over right next to the sun, you've got Mercury over there at 15 degrees. Just making this eclipse as if it weren't big enough, just making it a little bit bigger.
Yes, yes. And Mercury is the planet of communication And it creates a lot of forward movement and busyness. Like you could just be busy and not move forward if you want, but you could actually like slow down and really meditate and think, hey, I have this good energy, and where am I going to place it? Where am I going to put this energy? I could either put it in overthinking and creating this negative spiral, right? Or we could spiral up and level up and focus on what we want for the future. What do we want to create? Because Sagittarius is all about the future, and it has an arrow, right? And it's like, okay, Sagittarius without a direction is lost in the sauce, like Gemini, just like all over the place. And so Sagittarius really needs to find the direction in which it wants to go and pull the arrow, and it goes for it. It's mutable. So there's a lot of shifts and a lot of changes happening here in our life. We're still in the eclipse portal. At the very end, we're peeking out. We see the light. We're not quite sure in the direction that we want to go because we've been in this unknown portal since November 19th. A lot of emotion, a lot of shifts in our lives, a lot of people leaving our lives, a lot of situations leaving our life. But this is the universe way of clearing space to open up for something new.
Jump in. That was such a great description of a South Node eclipse, right? Because with that South Node eclipse, we want to let go of things we've been holding on to that no longer serve us and make room for the new. This is eclipse season is change, time for change, transformation. And when we create that space, that brings us a lot of opportunities. And we know Sagittarius is all about expansiveness and opportunities.
Yes. And then this Uranus and this Mars has been creating a lot of frustration, a lot of unexpected events. And so what I was telling Deb is I was looking at my chart, and I have Uranus at, I think, 19 degrees of Scorpio. Now, Uranus is an outer planet. It moves very slow. And so this is like huge gaps of generations that have Uranus and Scorpio. And so I was looking, and it's like at the very end of 1974 or 5, and it goes through 1981. And so I'm 1980. So Mars was conjunct my Uranus, opposing the transiting Uranus. This is really hard energy. And it depends on what house it is for you as to where you might be finding these unexpected events. And with Neptune stationary direct, it was very close to Earth. We weren't seeing things clearly, people clearly, situations clearly, and we could have put ourselves in some very uncomfortable situations. This is car accidents because Uranus, the head, Mars is like you're moving fast, you're doing things without thinking. Neptune is like delusions and kind of like escaping. So you could be escaping through alcohol. It was, the Thanksgiving weekend. So emotions are high, especially this is our first holiday without a loved one. And so, yeah, there was just a lot of shadow things that I felt in that portal that we're in, and we're finally seeing why we went through it and what we need to let go of from the past.
I also love that you brought up the Neptune station because, the slow planets, when they station, whether it's direct or retrograde, we feel it for a little while. So even though technically it was the first, we're still feeling this Neptune station. That is a big event for everyone on the planet. And it's squaring the eclipse.
It is. Yeah. And
not the tightest square in the world, but it's it's enough to really just give that extra jolt.
Yeah. So this is Neptune is in my 8th house squaring the 5th house.
Yeah. So, I don't know whether your listeners have access to a copy of their charts, but it's really helpful if you can find and see what house this eclipse is falling in for your chart, because then you can get an idea of what part of your life is being triggered by the eclipse. So, Karina, you said yours is the eclipse is in what house for you? The eighth?
The fifth house, and it's my house as a Leo.
Yeah. So for me, it's the seventh house, which is interestingly enough, because the other thing about South Node eclipses is they often have to do with growth through relationship, right? So, and if it's falling in the house of relationship, I think this eclipse is going to have a lot to do with my relationships.
Yes. And this is our first live, or not live, but video blog together. And so that's exciting. I've been wanting to do this and connect, and we are both in the same club together, and it's virtual club, obviously, because she's on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast. But I was very drawn to Deb when I first met her, and just knowing that she is into the same things that I'm into, plus being an Aquarius, like, you're my fave. And we both have Earth moons.
Funny, but it was so funny because I noticed you stood out to me because I loved your background. You had the greatest cosmic background. It's like, okay, Karina's my type of people.
Yeah. I swear, Leos and Aquariuses can pick each other out from across the room.
Oh yeah, we each have what the other needs.
Yes, exactly. And our different points of view on things it brings a value to others. So I think that's pretty much all I really have to say about this particular transit, because it's the Mars and Uranus and the generation with Uranus and Scorpio, Neptune stationary direct. Finally, we're still going to be feeling the effects, and that Neptune squaring the new moon eclipse. Now, eclipses, if for anyone that doesn't know much about eclipses set the stage for the next 6-month cycle. And so the full moon eclipse that happened on November 19th closed a 6-month cycle. It was like a completion, like a boom, shebang. This is like the last 6 months, what we learned, what we're releasing, what we're making room for. And we're continuing to purge and get rid of the things that are no longer serving us. And this could be past behaviors, past thought patterns, past people, past situations that just are not, they're getting in our way of our growth. And so with this new moon eclipse is really the best time for manifestation. So in the next 3 days, I'd say Sunday is going to be a really good day to write down all your goals, what you want to manifest, and then start putting it into action.
Yes, setting intentions. That's my favorite activity for the new moon. The one other thing I wanted to add about this chart for the eclipse is that it's also sextile Saturn. Now, that Saturn, it's in Aquarius, but Saturn is very different energy from Sagittarius, right? We've got Saturn, the boundaries of time and space, follow the rules, go with instructors. Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, just exceeds boundaries, just goes bigger and bigger and says yes, and it's optimistic, whereas Saturn is that more of that realist. So to have them sextile each other, now for those of you who are unfamiliar, a sextile angle is one where they each stimulate each other, so they work well together. It's not one of the hard aspects. They kind of encourage, egg each other on. So when Saturn and Sagittarius, Jupiter ruled Sagittarius, when they can work together, it's kind of exciting because you've got Sagittarius, big thinking and expansive ideas and wants, and then you've got Saturn's willingness to do the hard work and the commitment to get it done. So when you can harness those two effectively, you can achieve some pretty impressive results. So that's something that I actually find encouraging about this eclipse, which is just so heavy for so many reasons.
Yes, I like that. Thank you for sharing. And plus, this is a bowl of cherries too, right here. There's no oppositions in this chart. So we kind of do need an other to really see what's going on here.
Really funny.
Another layer of partnership that is
Yeah.
needed. You know, vampire charts. I have one. I know. It's like you don't see yourself clearly unless you have someone telling you.
Yeah, but you guys are also self-contained when you've got your bowl of cherries structure, right?
Yeah.
It's you know it's a very strong, stable. So can something about
Is there anything you would like me to pull up or a chart? So you could kind of explain what this lunar family.
well, yeah. Before we go into the predictions for 2022, maybe I'd love to say a little bit about the lunar phase family that's involved.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about it. This is very interesting. I did your homework.
Awesome. So this is based on the work of Dietrich Pessin, an astrologer who has really focused a lot of her research and work with clients on the moon and eclipses and studying lunar cycles. And she discovered something fascinating. She discovered that if you take the 4 main moon phases, new moon, waxing quarter, full moon, waning quarter, and you plot them out over time, she noticed these 2.5-year stories, she calls them, that form a pattern. So the new moon, so let's say that the new moon tonight is 12 degrees Sagittarius. Yes. 9 months from now, on September 3rd, 2022, the waxing quarter moon is also going to be around 12 degrees Sagittarius. And I've got my notes here. Where is it going to be exactly? It's 11 degrees, 13 minutes of Sagittarius. And then 9 months from then, the full moon, and that's going to be June 4th, 2023, is going to be at 13 degrees Sagittarius. So at the same place in the sky. And then again, 9 months later, on March 3rd, 2024, the waning quarter is going to be 13 degrees Sagittarius. So what you have is this completion, this cycle that goes from new moon to waning quarter, all in the same place in the sky. And that gives it power and its impact in our lives.
Wow.
So, you know, in astrology, for those of you who aren't familiar with astrology, usually when we're looking at what's impacting our lives, we look at the slower planets, right? Because the faster planets, they do impact us, but because they move so quickly, they don't last as long. So, you know, it's kind of like, think about it. If you touch something that's hot, if you only touch it for a second or two, no big deal. You've forgotten about it. You go on, right? Here's my new moon mug.
Magic moon cup. That's awesome.
But if you're touching something that's too hot for a long time, it's going to get really uncomfortable and you're going to have to do something about it. So that's why, you know, the slower moving transits are much more impactful. So when you look at this lunar phase family cycle, these groups, you've got 2.5 years at the same place in the zodiac. That's impactful.
Yeah. I have a question.
Okay.
It's September 3rd, is that 2022?
Oh, so yes, because it's 9 month interval. So there's this 9 month gestation period.
So it's a total of 2.5 years?
Because, you know, it's not that it doesn't end at the waxing quarter moon, right?
Sure.
There's a period from the waxing quarter moon until the new moon 9 months later. And sometimes that new moon is also around the same place, but it's the beginning of a new cycle and a new story. So even if it's around the same place, there's like a new, it's kind of like phase 2. But here's the interesting thing. And one of the quotes from her book, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but she says that events wait for the moon. Yeah, the moon is what triggers these events. So each of these 4 moon phases are like plot points in the story. So if we have a 2.5 year story, the actual moon phase dates are when the plot goes. So at the new moon, we've got the energetic state, right? It hasn't begun to manifest. It's all this, you know, primal energy. And that's why I love to do the intentions at the new moon, because this is our chance to leverage, to harness, to co-create with the new moon.
Yes.
for our 2.5-year story. And then 9 months later, when you get to the waxing quarter, you're seeing the first manifestations of what was brewing back at the new moon.
And which date is the waxing?
That's, for this particular one, it is September 3rd, 2022. It's literally exactly 9 months after.
Very cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. And then just one last point with these 2.5-year stories, they're always impactful in our lives. But when whether the new moon or the full moon is an eclipse, all of a sudden that story, gets rocket fuel and it becomes much more influential in our lives. So this has been a busy season. We had the full moon, the lunar eclipse last month. We've got the solar eclipse tonight.
Yeah.
Happening.
Yeah, the eclipse portal. I mean, that full moon eclipse was kind of a sneak peek into what 2022 is going to look like, because that was the first moon cycle eclipse in the eclipses for next year, because they're all going to be Taurus and Scorpio because the North Node's switching. And so this new moon today eclipse is pretty much the last eclipse in the Sagittarius Gemini. So we are literally wrapping up, since this whole COVID thing, really, from 2020. This is when the Gemini North Node and Sagittarius South Node, which Sagittarius is foreign lands, and South Node we're moving away from, it restricted travel just like it did in 2021. Remember, with the 9/11 and all the restrictions on travel, the same nodes. So what happened after that? We can totally predict what's going to happen, very similar to what happened after the whole the nodal shift from Gemini into Taurus.
Right. Yeah, we've got the mean node. They're shifting on the 23rd of December, and then the true node is going to be mid-January, the 18th. And I don't know, there's the mean node and the true node. I think if you ask 50 astrologers, you're going to get 50 opinions on which one's better. But the point is, December, January is when this nodal shift is happening.
These shifts are happening.
Yeah, for another
time and space,
18 months of our lives.
Yeah, exactly. So do me a favor, everyone. If you don't know your birth chart, pull it up. Look at where Taurus is in your chart. Look at where Scorpio is in your chart. Then you can see where these eclipses are going to be affecting you, so you could prepare. And if you don't know, hit up an astrologer. Me and Deb both help people navigate their life through astrology and to prepare for different energies. I mean, we're very much like spiritual meteorologists. Okay. You can predict the weather and it's going to make your life easy. You're going on vacation. You want to know what weather's over there, what clothes to bring, how to prepare, bring an umbrella, bring your rain boots, so don't just sweep this, astrology, I don't believe in it, and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's nothing to believe in a meteorologist, right? It's like, I don't believe that someone can predict it. Well, that's weird, because you have a history. We all have history, and that's data. And we all look at data and we make predictions. So whether that's a spiritual or energetic prediction, and our lives, the way it twists and turns is very similar to the weather. It's just the physical. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
That was such an Aquarian explanation.
Well, I have a South Node in Aquarius. Definitely looking at the bigger picture. So
what are you seeing ahead of us for 2022? So
2022, I think we're going to see a lot of the shifts into the new world. Okay. So a lot of astrologers think it's the age of Aquarius. If you were to ask an astronomer, they'd say, no, we still have quite some time for that. And so I believe that we are moving towards this age of Aquarius of wanting to be like equal, pretty much, like equals, like not just have like this one order that's controlling all the resources, which is each government in each country. But with cryptocurrency, it's like this diversified power. It's creating equality across the playing field, like networks, and you have a leader in each network, and it's like this Indra's web of just like expansion and abundance, which is diversified money. Okay. And so that's what I believe that's going to be coming in. We're going to see, well, it's going to kind of be forced, I believe, because Taurus is our money and the eclipses are changing. Plus the United States is having their Pluto return, which is going to be tearing down a lot of our structures and a lot of our
already seen with last year's, Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn conjunction. It's already begun. We've been feeling it. Yeah.
Yes. And we've been seeing it. I mean, kind of like the coronavirus was kind of the catalyst for the change. Like everyone was forced in their houses, forced to get work online. And now they're creating metaverses, and we're going to create this whole world online that we can go shopping and the stuff gets shipped to us. It's like we're going to be living through this portal right here. And so the money is going to transfer. It's going to probably be working towards a more digital currency, online presence and interactions. And Scorpio is kind of the hidden behind the scenes. And that's the South Node. So that's kind of what we're moving away from, is like all the death that's happened and all the death of our systems, and just moving into, hey, this is going to be abundance and good opportunities. And I have a lot of people, that I've heard that are talking about scarcity in food. And this is just something that had happened during these kinds of transits that's happened in the past. So it's better just to prepare. I have my things of like lentils and food and water. You just want to be prepared for anything. And it's not that it's going to happen, but there is a possibility of shortages that we're already seeing with the shipping, right? People aren't unloading or not there to have work in the physical world because everyone wants to work at home now. So there's not like people unloading these ships and doing the exports and stuff. And, with all the politics, we don't know what's going to go on. Like with the trading wars, like we don't really know. I don't keep up with that kind of stuff. So I just look at the astrology and make my own predictions as to what might be happening in the real world, because I don't have a TV. Nope, I haven't had a TV since 2002.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, I just wanted to put a plug in because I think you really captured that nicely. That whole Taurus thing about wanting to have that self-sufficiency, that confidence in our resource base, that we have what we need and to make it comfortable, that home base. That's where the North Node is going into. So that's going to be a focus of what as we look forward. However, we also know we can get stuck in the past. And so that South Node in Scorpio of just, all that complexity and all dredging up and the suspicion and the control and triggering issues. And, will we be able to let go of that and to embrace some of the simplicity and that down to earth groundedness and stability of Taurus? I think that'll be our challenge.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it kind of reminded me, with the North Node being in Taurus and Uranus being in Taurus, trying to push the new world. So my little coin of 2022 is the battle of the worlds, the old world and new world. Because if you've noticed, on the South Node being Scorpio is the old world. And guess who is our president? A Scorpio. Guess who is our vice president? A Scorpio. So we have Scorpio's president and vice president on the South Node trying to hold down the old world.
During a Pluto return.
What? You can't make this shit up.
Yeah.
So it's like Taurus, I feel, is like, the universe trying to push the new world. Like, let's be fruitful. Let's be independent from the system. Let's, create and pay their own way. Let's, as a collective, be one and help each other. Our communities, our networks are very important right now. Yeah. And we're going to see that more and more coming into 2022.
I almost think like simplicity is one of my buzzwords for 2022. Let's Let's let go of complexity and let's embrace some simplicity.
Ooh, I like that. Simple. And Taurus is in my 10th house. Got to narrow it down, Karina. Let's focus on just a couple things because, I'm all over the place. I have, Venus and the 12th house and a moon in Virgo conjunct Jupiter. So I'm like, woo!
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah. I have Taurus and Scorpio intercepted in my 6th and 12th houses. So that's going to be a pretty intense focus on 6th and 12th house over the next year.
Yes. Yeah. So that's like how you work, what your everyday
daily routines and the responsibilities and balancing that with, going inward and,
rest to level up,
self-care,
and spirituality too, like your belief and trusting your intuition. And really looking at your dreams, maybe starting a dream journal because, things are going to start aligning and coming to fruition. And you want to be aware, you want to be mindful of these things. I mean, hey, if anyone needs any predictions, she's going to be the lady for a while, huh?
Yeah. And most important, take time for it because, and you said this at the very beginning of our conversation, if you don't treat Neptune with its respect, you go down the rabbit hole of escapism, which could be addiction, whatever, going la la land.
Yep.
But you need to treat Neptune with respect and do that inner work and connect to source, connect to your higher self, make time for it.
Yep. So it's either spirits, alcohol spirits, or your spirituality.
I love it.
Hey, well, I think that's our time. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
No, this has been a lot of fun. This is an exciting time, the eclipse season and the beginning of a new 2.5-year story. And however it's impacting your life, take that time to embrace it. You don't even have to understand it to leverage it. All you have to do is quiet, be still, breathe, connect, and then the universe will take care of the rest. So embrace it, go forward and set those intentions for how you want to expand your horizons over the next 2.5 years.
Yes. And don't limit yourself because Sagittarius has no limits. Jupiter is the luckiest planet of the zodiac. And so don't limit yourself and just get crazy with your manifestations this week. And so hopefully that helped with the crypto report. We talked about the solar eclipse and the lunar phase family and a little bit about predictions from 2022. I hope this was helpful. Deb, I hope we could do this again, make it kind of a regular thing that we get together and have little astrology talks. That would make my heart so happy.
I would love it. And I want you to come onto my podcast, Planets and Profit. So
tell everyone about that.
Okay, I haven't interviewed another astrologer on there yet. So that'll be kind of cool. So it's because I do business astrology, a lot of people say, well, what is that? Sounds cool, but what is it? So I kind of give a peek into it by interviewing business owners. And as I interview them, I look at their chart and I just stick in a few snippets. They're about 20 minutes each, very small doses. I don't overwhelm. So it's a lot of fun. So check it out. It was on.
Do you look at their chart or their business's birth chart?
Look up the business owner's birth chart. My whole approach to coaching is it's about you and your karmic path. And I always look at the business just as a part of their karmic path.
Yes, I love it.
So the podcast is relaunching. It was on hiatus for about half a year. It'll be relaunching next in about a week or two. So
yay, that's exciting. The more that we get things done within this next 2-week cycle is like great. We're manifesting what's happening, right?
Yes.
And why we had to go through everything that we went through from 2022 and 2021. So
there is a purpose.
There is. Well, thanks, Deb. And thank you everyone for joining. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channels. We really appreciate that. Get more of this word out. All right, guys, peace out. Your Lucid Living Coach and Deb PEREZ.